I've got it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
There we go.
Excellent. Okay. We're there. It is a Monday morning. Yeah, so lovely. Okay, we're going to make a start now. So welcome to the session, everyone. We are a small team here. We applied for some funding and we were really delighted to win it from the NIHR to support people who would like some pre-doctoral support funding. So myself and Catherine Evans will introduce ourselves in a second. We're going to talk you through the award funding we've secured and answer any of your questions to try and help you as much as we can in terms of helping anyone who'd like to apply for our funding award. So we're both part of the Applied Research Collaboration in South London. So that's one of the infrastructures. The NIHR has infrastructures and schools. This is one of the infrastructures. And as part of that, we were allowed to apply to the NIHR for some funding, and we chose to support at pre-doctoral level for the professions which we're going to share with you. And I'm based at Kingston University in London, and I'll just let Catherine introduce herself. So,
hi everyone, good to see you. I just popped in the chat just for people to introduce themselves in the chat. It's just really helpful for Scilla and I just to know who's on the call. Fantastic. And I can see Rona, you've done that, clinical lead in podiatry and biomechanics. That's just, yeah, really helpful. Thank you. It helps us just know who's here. So I'm Catherine Evans. As Scilla said, I'm co-leading this program with Scilla. I am a clinical academic in palliative care and nursing. So I'm a professor of palliative care at King's College London. I'm also one of the deputy directors of the King's Clinical Academic Training Office as well. I'm delighted that we have this funding opportunity and to support more people to pursue successful doctoral funding applications. So thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, Catherine. So, I'll ask Michelle just to move to the next slide, which I probably should have done already, because I think that's got myself and Catherine on. There we go. So I'll just introduce myself as well. So I'm a professor of occupational therapy. My current job at the moment is head of graduate research schools. That's looking after all the doctoral students across all the disciplines at Kingston University, as well as supporting academics with researcher development. And I'm the academic career development lead for the ARC South London, and deputy in the capacity building theme. So often involved in supporting people for different awards. And I sit on the doctoral, one of the doctoral awarding panels for the NIHR. I've been deputy chair in the past, been on it about 15 years. So always so impressed by all the wonderful talent we see coming through. And we're so pleased that the NIHR is able to support you with your research careers in that way. Great. So we've teamed up together to talk you through the awards we've won. So on this slide, it's just reminding you what it's actually for. So although we're based in South London, we decided that we'd offer it to anyone employed in Greater London. So you have to be employed in Greater London, and you could be in health or in social care. And we'll give you a list of the professions. So basically, we want you to be supported to apply for a doctoral award scheme funded by the NIHR. So this is the pathway to help you.
Can I just stop you? I don't think the slides are sharing.
Yes, they are for me. Can we just double check with people in the chat?
I can see them.
Could you go back one slide, Michelle? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, fine, Scilla, it's me. I can't see them.
Okay, no problem. Lovely. So, so this is the pathway. There's several routes for the doctoral awards, and this is to help you to think of which one of those you want to apply for and to help you put together a competitive application. So you need to be looking at that link there, the doctoral opportunities link. I'm just going to pop that in the chat for you, because there's several different routes for doctoral awards, and you just need to double check the eligibility carefully to make sure that you're able to apply for one of those doctoral awards in the future. So this particular award is just helping you with the earlier stages. So we're not actually requiring you to actually submit during the period of the award. We're just supporting you with preparing your application. So if you could make sure you've double checked the eligibility, that would be great. So next slide. So the groups which we put forward to the NIHR to fund are from underrepresented groups in terms of research careers. So we particularly are supporting nurses, midwives, allied health professionals, pharmacists and healthcare scientists, as well as social workers or public health professionals. So these particular professions are ones where you would need to be registered with your appropriate professional body or regulator. And as I say, we chose these because these are underrepresented amongst the NIHR in terms of pathways. And we also are very keen to support applications from anyone who self-identifies as belonging to an underrepresented group or population in terms of, for example, an underrepresented ethnic group, or if you're living with a disability, etc. Next slide. So your employer needs to be supportive of you taking time out from your current role to work on your NIHR doctoral application. So depending on which doctoral pathway you're going for, it could be that you're in an academic position or you might be a practitioner. So it could be either, depending on which route you're looking to apply for. So we have a range of funds, different amounts of funds. So the first one we have is for you to use to do some public and patient involvement and engagement activities. So we have £2,000, which you can have for that. There are slightly odd splits in when you have to spend the money. That's because of the way the Department of Health and Social Care split up the money. So we were given a lot more money to spend before the end of March than we are in the second year. So it's not our strange idea ourselves. We're just following what the money was, which is available. So we're really keen to give it to you as quickly as possible so you can crack on and spend it. But in total, there's £2,000 for PPIE activities. There's also mentorship available. And in the application form, we'll invite you to share if you have any particular mentors or supervisors who you're already connected with. But if not, don't worry, we would support you if you got one of these awards to link you up with appropriate mentors or supervisors for your application. And I'll probably just do one more slide and maybe hand over to Catherine. So we also have some funds to support you to visit perhaps a Centre of Research Excellence or participate in a conference. So we have £1,000 for you to spend for that. It might be, for example, in your actual main doctoral award, you want to arrange to visit a centre for a week or two. That's quite common in doctoral applications. So you might want to visit and get to know people, set that up. It might be that you want to establish a supervisory team, or it might be there's a particular conference which you'd like to present, for example, your master's findings at, for example. So up to £1,000 for that. And then we can give £12,000 to your employer to support you to have some time release. So it's not match funded to your salary as such. It's a block amount which we would give to your employer. And then finally, in the second year, we can give you £5,000 to support you with training course fees. Now we have a specific module which helps you develop your pre-doctoral application, and the link there is just I'm just going to try and I'm slightly double tasking here. I'm just going to pop this in the chat for you. This is the module which is ideal for you, and we'll need to help you if you're applying for the award and you're successful. We'll need to help you really quickly to apply to get on this module. They're expecting applications from our awardees. So you need to be eligible to apply for that module. But that would be the ideal one for you to do. If you've already done that module for any reason, then we can talk to you about other training opportunities which you would like to consider instead, or perhaps a additional conference or something like that to help you develop yourself. Okay, so the next slide. So I'll hand over to Catherine. She's going to talk you through some more slides.
Great, thank you, Scilla. So one of the key things with this, as Scilla said, that for most people, they're going to require a release from their employer. So one of the key things to ensure the success of this award, that you've discussed it with your current employer. And I can see from the information being put in the chat that people are from NHS Trust from all across London, also from social care organisations as well. So for the employer to support the application, we have a form that you will also need to complete and that your employer will need to sign off. And just as Scilla has said, that we are able to reimburse up to £12,000 as a contribution towards your salary costs for the time that you are undertaking this award. So on that form, what's absolutely key for us to be able to move funding to your employer is that you detail the finance individual for your respective organisation for us to be able to set that up. So two key things: one, that you've discussed it with your employer, they have agreed to release you, and you've also identified and detailed who is the finance person that we need to be liaising with. And importantly, you'll see that to have a valid application requires you to have the employer form and the finance form both need to be submitted with your application, with the deadline on the 9th of January. Next slide, please. So, as always, when applying for any sort of funding, key to success is understanding what are the criteria. So we've detailed an information form that's accompanying the application. So what we're really looking for is a well-articulated application that clearly details why you would be the most suitable person to receive one of these awards. So why you are applying and what difference it's going to make for you in your respective careers in pursuing research. We're particularly encouraging applications from groups who are underrepresented within research, and particularly in these types of development wards. So as detailed here, for individuals who identify as being from an ethnic group, living with disability as examples. So please do also indicate that if you are self-identifying as one of those groups. And as I said, the other for success is to ensure that we have your completed employer form that is accompanying your application. So please do all read through what the criteria is and then make sure that you've carefully thought through your responses so that we can see that you are a priority individual for the NIHR to be investing in. And then finally, the what next? I think we've just clicked through one too many slides. There we are, brilliant. So in terms of the what next, so a link to the online application form can be found on the slides here. We'll pop that in the chat as well. The deadline for submission, I've said, is on Thursday, the 9th of January. So in the new year, once everyone's back, and we've put the time as 9 AM on Thursday, the 9th. I'm pleased to complete the form and ensure that you've read the information sheet, which gives you all the information about the essential criteria, the finance form and the employer form that all need to be submitted with it. And then last slide. So I can see already, any questions? So I can see already that we've got a couple of questions coming up in the chat, which is fantastic. So I think what we'll do is if we stop sharing the slides now, and then we can then start for any questions. And then Scilla, I can see you've kindly put, the links in the chat, both for the information for applicants and where to find the Predoctoral Support Fund application form as well. So all the information is on our website, but we've got opportunity now just to take a couple of questions. So I can see the first one then is Fran, that you've done the NIHR ICA, the Integrated Clinical Academic Scheme. Does this prevent me from applying for this funding? So Fran, do you just want to unmute and just tell us which of the ICA schemes it is that you've completed?
Hello everyone. Yeah, I've just completed the ICA scheme at King's. It's a predoctoral bridging program.
Right.
And as part of that, I did do the PhD, the master's module, which was really helpful. I still do need some extra time to develop my application, develop my research CV, and undertake some PPIE activities to support my application. So I was thinking about applying for the DCAF next year, but later, next year or the following year, depending on how far along I am in terms of progress. So that's where I am at the moment.
Thank you. And I can see Sil's put in the chat, yes, you can apply.
Yeah.
So having had that pre-doctoral bridging funding, which is a different scheme that's not as well resourced as this one, Fran. So as you can see with this one, there's a lot more resource, particularly the mentorship and access to supervisors for you. And basically what Scylla and I have discussed is where people have already completed that the doctoral module, is that you'll then be able to use that funding for other training that is of course relevant to your doctoral funding application.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, they're huge applications, aren't they, to do to get these doctoral awards. So you want to get yourself in as strong a position as possible. And well done for getting the other funding. That's great. I think basically the £5,000 for the training kicks in this, what we call the second year, because that starts from the 1st of April. So have a think about what other training or perhaps conference presentations or something like that which you would like to do, which would be occurring during the 1st of April to the 31st of March 2026. Yeah. And what we would like to do is, whoever it is who's the successful awardees, because we've got 6 places to fund, when we give the funding awards to the employers, we would be providing you with those funds for that £5,000 as well. And then we'd want you to tell us what it is you're going to spend it on. We would approve it, and then you can spend it directly from your own pot. We won't be paying different courses or different conferences directly for you. Ideally, as much as we can, we'll try and get the money to you where you're employed so that you can spend it. But we would like some oversight, because we obviously have to report on how we've supported people.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I did see on the PDF version of the application where it's kind of like where you have to list out what you would like to do. And
that's right.
The cost and the dates and things like that. So,
that's it. Yeah. So if you haven't done the module, that's our number one go-to. But if you have done it already, I know I had an email from someone in the week who'd also done it already, then fair enough. I think there's no point in redoing a module because it's got credits and everything. You've already done the assignment. You've got the learning under your belt. I think it's really sensible to think what else would help you to develop as a researcher and identify what would really suit you. Yeah. And if you've got some potential supervisors, talk to them and find out what they think would suit you as well.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. So any other, let's have a look at your questions. Good. Right. Do you need to have a master's degree to be eligible? Well, that's an interesting question. How do I pronounce it? We can't ask you to speak, I think, because this is a webinar, but I think it's, I'm not, maybe I won't try and pronounce your name, but
Sveta.
Oh, say it one more time. Put the screen so I can see you. I can only see the top of your.
I think I have.
Yeah, I can see the top of your head. Oh. So I slightly lip read, and that would be helpful. There you are. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. It's actually great, and thank you for obtaining the funding. I was basically wondering because we obviously this leads to potential doctorship application, and hence the question of, do we need a master's degree?
Yes. So Catherine and I very carefully looked at the doctoral routes, on that link, which shows you the 3 doctoral routes. And actually, it's not required that you have a master's. So obviously, it can strengthen your application, but it all depends if you've done lots of research projects and published them. That can be very valuable as well. So if you look at those 3 routes, and you might have one particular one you're thinking you would mainly want to apply for, just double check all of the criteria, make sure you fit the eligibility criteria. But we aren't requiring you to have done a master's.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, lovely. Is it Sweater? Is that how I can? Sweater. Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Just the T sound.
Yes, thank you,
you.
Sweater. Yeah, lovely. The deadline for the PhD scheme application I would want to apply for is December. The start would be much later. So if you want to apply this December, this is Sarah, I think. Sarah, did you want to apply in December 25? Is that right? I don't know if you're able to come on the screen. Let's see. I think basically, yes, this award wouldn't work for you because you're going to be applying any time up to our deadline in January, and then we will be making our awards to start on the 1st of February, 2026. So if you're wanting to actually put in your application for your PhD with the NIHR in December, this wouldn't work for you. Yeah, is that okay? I don't know if I can see Sarah on the call. Yeah. Perhaps you're
that doesn't matter, Scilla. I suppose if they're applying for the December round, does it? If
it's December 25, 24, is it December 24 they're applying for? That's what I wondered.
25. So it's next year.
She hasn't put the year.
Yeah, if you scroll down, it's got Sarah.
25. Oh, yes.
25.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you meant December 24, maybe. Yeah. So basically, most of the funding needs to be spent. There's quite a bit available in the first period up to the end of March 25. And then there's some additional funding for the second year. So you'd want to try and use that as quickly as possible to give yourselves the best opportunity. So that would work fine. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see that bit. Yeah. Right. Can we apply for the DCAF during the time of award, or do we have to wait until the award finishes? You're most welcome to apply for the DCAF. I think the key thing is to try and get yourself in as strong a position as possible, but you're very welcome to apply for the DCAF at any point. Yeah.
And the mentors and supervisors will be supporting with that, so that, in guiding you, that you've got a competitive funding application, in remembering that about approximately 30% of the applications received for the NIHR DCAF are funded. So they're highly competitive. So the purpose of this pre-award funding is for individuals to be supported to develop competitive funding applications. So the mentors and supervisors will be providing guidance on, is your proposal, your application, your training plan, your host organizations, is everything in place and at the sort of level required to ensure that you are in a position to compete? Because the rounds are open twice a year. So a lot of it is the timing, that you are well positioned and your work is well worked up, that you are able to compete for these funding awards.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to Afasat's question. So Afasat's asking, can we, they're jumping about. Is it only open to NHS employees, or is it open to academics in the London area? So you need to be employed in Greater London. Basically, there's 3 doctoral routes you might be looking at. And as long as you're eligible for one of those and you fit the criteria we've shown you in terms of professional groups, then you would be eligible. So for those 3 doctoral routes, one of them, so the DCAF tends to be the one where people are practitioners as well, or the DLAF, which is where you're local authority based. But if you're an academic, you're probably going to be applying for the straight doctoral fellowship with the NIHR. And that's very common that you'd be in an academic position. But you need to be from one of those health or social care professions in order to apply for the awards we have. Just to say, there are other infrastructures and schools under the NIHR who will also have applied for this type of funding award. So do have a look at the different other NIHR sites for infrastructures and schools, particularly in your area, and see what they're offering. Because if you may find that they're offering opportunities which you could also apply for if as well. Okay. Are international professionals employed and sponsored by the NHS Trust through the Health and Care Worker visa eligible? So so again, if you could go back to the link to the doctoral awards and look at eligibility, there's a lot of detail there. And if you have any queries, it's probably best to email the NIHR. They always put an email address, which will be the one you can check with, because I think the kind of complexities around people's visa eligibility and that type of thing is slightly beyond myself and Catherine, and it's really best to check with the NIHR themselves. And if they say that you are eligible to apply for those doctoral awards, then you would be eligible to apply for the support funds which we're offering. Okay.
Shall I just come in there, Scilla? One of the other big issue around for colleagues who are on health and care work visas is we have a slight challenge that you will need to be eligible for home doctoral fees. So I'm aware that on those visas that I think you have to have been on a visa for 2 years before you can be eligible for home doctoral fees. So that will be a requirement of the NIHR that they're only going to be able to fund home fees. So that is the other important element to check, is the eligibility for home doctoral fees.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Yolanda's asked, does one need to have published or presented at conferences to apply? So I'd say you may well try and publish or present at a conference during the award we're offering, because you may have some time from your time release to help you with that. Typically, the panel I sit on, the DCAF, people have published or presented at conferences. But I know with the DLAF, the local authority scheme, people might have been more involved with various projects and things, which aren't necessarily published as research papers. So I think there's a variety there. You might, at this pre-doctoral level, if you've got some research which you could get published, this would certainly be a great opportunity to put in the time to get that done. But perhaps I can come to Catherine to share her perspective as well. I think it's about getting as competitive as possible with the application process.
Yes, and I was just looking up for Sarah. Sarah asked us about who to, in terms of the professional categories, that her profession is not on the NIHR list. Sarah, I was just going to pop in the chat. If you contact the NIHR directly, they are always interested in hearing about other professions that might not be detailed, or just understanding the categories that they have at the moment, because it's generally done by registration with a particular professional body. So the best thing to do is to email them directly. And then in terms of publications and conferences, I think it's the sort of thing that during this award, if there is opportunity for people to be submitting, for example, an abstract for a conference, to be sharing some of the work that they're doing in their pre-application stage, that is hugely helpful. Again, as Scilla said, in that your application is competitive as possible. That if you have your work and it's been accepted, for example, at a conference, it means that your work has already been subject to peer review, and it's deemed to be of sufficient quality and interest that you're being invited to present that work. It might be a poster, it might be an oral presentation, and those conferences might be national things. It might be something like the Royal College of Nursing or Midwifery, depending on your discipline, or it might be a regional conference that's been run, or it might even be something that's been run locally by your respective employer, that they're hosting a research conference. But those things all give an indication of your appetite to be pursuing research within your careers, and that you are the questions that you're asking and the rigor with which you're trying to answer them is clearly of interest to others. So I would always urge people to be looking for opportunities like that, and also looking for opportunities to publish. And again, often when people first start publishing, they are in more sort of professional journals. So for an example for me is that we publish in the British Journal of Nursing or the British Journal of Community Nursing, where you are far more likely to have a publication that might again be like a service improvement or a quality improvement paper. And those sorts of journals are interested in that type of work because it's a way of sharing innovations in practice. So if you've been doing that sort of thing, and that then is also then leading to your questions for your doctoral research study, then it does strengthen your competitiveness in an application, that it's showing your you know, your commitment to pursue research within your respective careers. Ursula, you're on mute.
Thank you. I come to Emma's question. Can this award be used to fund publishing in paid journals? So that wasn't part of the application we put in to win this funding. Can I make a couple of suggestions, Emma? I don't know if you're going to be publishing with your supervisors. It's quite typical in STEM subjects, you know, in science or health or social care, that you might well be publishing with supervisors of perhaps your masters, for example, or whether I don't know if your employer has any connections with the university, because often there are different pots which can be accessed. So if for example, my doctoral students publish with me, there are pots which I can apply for at my university to support an open access fee of a journal. But also, if you have any connections with academics who are part of that research you want to publish, they all have repositories where research can be, the final sort of accepted copy of the paper can be uploaded into the university repository, and that's called green open access. So then actually it is more accessible. So I think you know, it depends on the type of journal and what the situation is of where you're publishing. But again, this is all part of the mentorships which we can supply to you when you're involved with these awards. So I hope that's helpful. There was another question about they weren't quite sure if of the topic they wanted to work on yet. Here we go, Fran. I need more time to develop my application, complete a scoping review. Oh no, that's another one. Let's see, where was it? Alex, do we need to have a very clear idea of the pre-PhD topic that we want to work on? I have a few ideas in mind, but I believe I need more time. So Catherine, did you want to respond on that one? Because
I think again, I mean, the point of the pre-application is to support you in pursuing and developing your research ideas for doctoral study. And these ideas don't come pre-formed. You know, for all of us, when we're thinking about any research study, really, that we often begin with quite a broad understanding of what the problems are, and then we're pursuing our thinking and understanding to refine what our question might be. I think what you do need to have is a sense of, so what am I interested in? What is the area of research that I want to be pursuing? But it might still be in quite a sort of a broad state, and working with your supervisors and mentors is going to enable you to hone down that thinking and basically to develop your doctoral proposal. So I do think you need to have this is the area that I'm interested in remembering that a doctoral study is a huge piece of work. So it needs to be something that you are interested in, that you're passionate about, and that clearly it's building on things that you have already been doing and achieving. So that might be, for example, in your clinical practice, or it might be in research work that you did at master's level, but it helps that you're clearly developing a story about the area of research that you are interested in and that you're wishing to pursue and that you want to build research within, as well as there being a rationale for your research question.
And I think, we only have 6 awards to give out, but even just spending the time, putting your mind to thinking what you might put forward for our application process, even if you're not successful with our application process, it might mean that you've got together your ideas and made links with people, which you could then use to apply for one of the NIHR other funding routes, because there's lots of different ones available. And there are all different levels. There's the Insight Awards for master's level, for example, or there's the PLAF, the Predoctoral Local Authority Scheme for people in social care, for example. So there's all kinds of different ones which you can apply for. So just even putting your mind to it and really concentrating and having a look at what research has been done in that field and trying to hone in on what would be a suitable topic to work on. None of that will be wasted, because and it might be your employer has different pots of money which they can give to people to help work up ideas as well. So even just spending the time trying to get your ideas formulated and on paper, even if you don't win our award, we're hoping, do hope that you'll find another source to support you. So great. Okay. So Yolanda, you've said that you've already written your master's on your topic. Do you have any suggestions of courses which might help me best to start the doctoral reading? Not knowing your topic area and that type of thing, it's probably a little bit, we're probably not in the best position now to help you with that. I think it's more a case of if you wanted to apply for the funding award, then in year 2, so that would be from April onwards, it would be that's when you can spend some funds. So if you, in your application, if you've had a look online, if you've got some potential supervisors for the doctorate or people who are mentoring you, you could ask them for advice. They're probably more aligned to your area of practice than we might be, for example. So, or your academic area of research. So spend some time looking into it and put some suggestions down into that section. If you're not, it might be you're going to do our pre-doc award, or it might be that even if you do the pre-doc award, you're still going to have, I think it's over £1,000 to spend on other training. So have a look yourself, talk to people in your field and get some ideas from them. And then if you put that into your application, then if you're successful in winning the award, then obviously with the mentorship, etc., we can support you to hone in on that. So just because you've named a particular training course or development opportunity in your application doesn't mean we're absolutely going to hold you to it. You might get better advice as you go along and you come back to us and say, actually, could I instead do this? Yeah. So Catherine's putting in some great links for you. Yeah. I
was just putting in the pages where they detail just as you were saying, Scilla, the career frameworks and the different awards that are available at different levels. And they have them by different disciplines, which is very helpful.
At the moment, we are supporting a number of people, I think 11 awardees who are social care practitioners with developing their research capability. And I don't know if Maria, who's on the call, wanted to come in, because Maria's been helping people with dealing with conversations with their employers about getting time off to do these types of awards, which sometimes isn't easy, especially when your managers are very stretched and their priorities are to cover the teaching or the work of your main employment. So Maria, did you have any words of wisdom or advice?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Scilla. It's so exciting to have this opportunity, and as Scilla's explained, I'm working with Scilla as well, with 11 awardees who are OTs. Some are coming from social care backgrounds, working in voluntary settings, for example, the Alzheimer's Society. And it's really wonderful seeing them as practitioners coming forward with their ideas to develop their research capacity. And they've got some fantastic projects, and the aim is that they develop their social care research. They're also starting to look at those ideas around how they can develop their social care capacity, really, and bring those skills into the workforce for their own development. But I think what's really exciting as well is that their passion, that how their learning and research is also going to improve the outcomes for the people that they're supporting. So it's an excellent project. We're about 6 months in, and there are some fantastic ideas. And through that development, that discussion, particularly with managers, I think a key thing that we've learned is getting your managers on board, making sure they're aware of the commitment and the time release for you. And making sure, as Scilla and Catherine's already described, that the finance form, just making sure that they know who's the contact in your organisation, how can we progress that quite quickly. So if you are successful and you're eligible for this award, that can progress really and not hinder your application. But it's been great to be part of this award, and fantastic hearing about the new opportunities, and I wish you all the very best of luck. I think you're on mute, Scilla.
Thanks. Thanks, Maria. Yeah, so basically we have put that form in as well as part of the application, which means you have to check out who in your organisation would be the contact for in the finance department, and so they can provide all their details. Because for the 6 awardees, we need to, as fast as possible, check whether you're on our approved provider list. Obviously, it's nothing to do with whether or not we decide to give you an award. You will get your award on the merit of your application. But the minute we've got our 6 awardees and you would like to go ahead, then we need to make sure that we can award some funds to your organisation as quickly as possible, because NIHR were a little bit late in letting us know we had the funding, and I know some organisations still haven't even advertised their awards yet, but we pushed our notification out within a week to give you as much time as possible to apply and to get these awards. So we'll only have February and March to get the initial invoices in from your employer, which is why we need to know exactly who we've got to get in touch with in the finance office. So that's why we gave you that form ahead of time. And also there's just a little bit of flexibility in some of the funds. We basically want to give you the 12K for your time release. We want to give you the 5K for the training. We need to give you the PPI funds, etc. There's a little bit of flexibility in there for anyone who has accessibility needs. So I think in total for our award, we've got £9,000. But if you have a health or disability need, which might require some extra funds to support you with the engagement on this award, then please do include some extra funds there, which we can consider and discuss with you. But basically, once we know who our 6 awardees are, we'll be in close contact with you to talk you through all the different aspects, and we'll meet with you and your manager very quickly to talk through any practical aspects with you. So great. Okay, are there any questions we've not spotted? Let's have a look. Does the funding make sense? Okay, so
Scilla, your point that for us to meet with the individual and the employer, particularly because often this is obviously also new for employers, and help exactly what's going to be required and the timing and the reimbursement of or a contribution towards salary costs for clinical release, because all of those things are very new. And I'm just very aware that often for line managers, they have 101 things that they're trying to manage. So supporting them to be able to support you is also a key part of what we're offering here.
Great. Okay, I think we've covered everyone's questions. So there is on the website, there is a email address there if you need to contact us, if you have any queries. We did put a PDF of the application form so you could see all of the questions we're asking you in advance, because otherwise once you go into the portal and you start filling it in, you have to kind of fill it in as you go along, and so it's easier if you know everything you're going to be asked in advance. Good. So excellent. Well, we just want to wish you the very best of luck with your applications. We'd really like you to apply, and we're really keen to spend the money. You're the talented future of our research in all of our different areas. So we're really, really pleased that we won the funding, and we're really keen to get it out to 6 of you so that you can progress your career. But even if you're not lucky with this particular award, I'm sure even putting in the time and thought, which you will, in terms of applying, that will help you with other applications in the future. And as a researcher, you have to just keep applying. There's always more opportunities out there, and it's as Catherine and I will tell you, there's lots of things you don't get, but you just keep applying, and then usually you find some suitable funds to support you with your application, and you'll be on your way. So great. Excellent. So I think we're going to finish there. Any last comments, Catherine?
Well, I can see. Hayley, I saw you just put your camera on. Did you want to come in?
No, sorry, coincidence, but thank you very much.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. No, I think that's everybody's questions. And there is the email, do please use that. But just to note that Scilla and I, that the universities are going to be closed from Monday, and then they reopen in the new year on the 2nd.